Recently in the One Piece manga, Luffy awakened his Devil Fruit and called it Gear 5th. This seems to be a sort of endgame transformation for Luffy, and thus people have been comparing it to other anime transformations. In my opinion, I believe that Luffy's transformation is the best out of all the ones I've seen. Now that I've let a few days pass to sort of ease the hype, I still believe this is the case. Here's why. When it comes to long-term build-up, I don't think there's a series out there that surpasses One Piece. Decades of real-time build-up happen before they're paid off, which makes the show so rewarding to watch in the long run. That's what makes transformations so cathartic. It's how they all subtly build up over the course of the story and then they eventually get paid off. So while the real-time length of the build-up is important, I don't think that's all there is to it. You also have to consider how it's built up. Luffy had some vague lines and weird abnormalities to his Paramecia fruit that confused a lot of fans. For example, in Gear 4th he seems to be talking to his arm, telling it to chase Katakuri and Doflamingo. And of course before that in Punk Hazard, Luffy says, "I'm not a Zoan type," when, we know now that he is. It's also kind of weird how Luffy had a lot of forms, like Gear 2nd, Gear 3rd, and the various Gear 4th forms were very similar to that of a Zoan fruit user. So we all had this vague idea that Luffy's fruit was kind of weird building up in our head for many years. And then we look at chapter 1042 I believe, and then we compare that to Big Sake, and we can see now how this is all being physically manifested. I'll read you the lyrics. Now comes a storm through the far-off sky. Now the waves are dancing, beat upon the drums. If you lose your nerve, this breath could be your last. But if you just hold on, the morning sun will rise. It was foreshadowed in a way that only becomes obvious once we've fully seen it. It was actually right in front of us the whole time, but we only notice it now. Now even, random lines like Sabo saying he feels Ace's spirit in the Devil Fruit make a lot more sense now. Remember Blackbeard's line about dreams never ending? That may actually be literal now, although that's all speculation. If we contrast this to another anime transformation, let's go with Yu Yu Hakusho, there's no build-up towards Yusuke's transformation, it just kind of happens. When you think of transformations, you also have to think about how they thematically mesh with the message of the show. Naruto's character and the theme of Naruto, very broadly speaking, is about bonds. Even the most ardent villains have bonds. This is, I presume, why he taught no jutsus. He's showing that even the villains have bonds and they can be redeemed in some way. It's also why he fought so hard to bring back Sasuke, because he doesn't believe bonds can be severed so easily. So, Kurama, who had never befriended his host, grows to respect and ultimately, eventually, befriend Naruto. It's nice. Now, with One Piece, perhaps the most overarching theme in all of One Piece is freedom. Now Luffy's character is about being the freest man in the world, liberating countries and saving people from their current situations. And even Luffy's fruit embodies this idea to a large degree. There were seemingly endless possibilities with his fruit, from stretching in every which direction to being able to inflate his bones, to speeding up his blood flow, to even inflating his muscles. It seemed like the fruit was just bounded by whatever he could think of at the time. Gear 5th takes this to the extreme level by giving him an almost cartoon level of freedom. The extent to his power is unknown, but we do know that he can literally change the environment and his body more freely. He uses a technique that seems similar to Gear 3rd to inflate his arms, only this time seemingly effortlessly, and grabs Kaido with ease and yanks him back up to the roof. If I were to guess, he probably has the properties of all of his gears packed into this awakening. Similar to how in Thriller Bark, Luffy was able to use his 2nd and 3rd gear simultaneously. What I love is that the Gorosei say that this is the most ridiculous ability in the world, not the most powerful. And honestly, what else is Luffy's character other than pure ridiculousness? It's implied throughout the series that Luffy has a fruit that's quite insignificant, but then it was his boundless creativity that made him able to keep up. And with the specific way they worded his power up, this is still intact. Luffy's fruit in itself still may not be that great, but it's Luffy's endless creativity that make it among the best. The fruit is only as good as you can make it, only limited by the user's creativity. And again, this has been the idea around Luffy's fruit for a while. Oda is just simply capitalizing on decades of hinting and foreshadowing. It also embodies Luffy's character to a T. I mean, everyone knew that Gear 5th was going to happen. There were 1.5 million different theories out there as to what it could be and how this could happen, but no one posited an idea that was nearly as good as the one Oda planned. Remember what I said about Blackbeard's line about how people's dreams are never ending? A major theme in One Piece is also inherited will, that even when someone dies, their will can be carried on for generations. It's only when people are forgotten do they really die. This part is a bit vague and we'll probably have to wait for an explanation, but let's strike while the iron's hot. We don't know how much Joy Boy was impacting Luffy's destiny as opposed to Luffy controlling it. It seems that the fruit was avoiding the world government, which makes it not much of a stretch to say that the fruit may have chosen Luffy. Now, did he choose Luffy on a whim, or was there something particular about him? How much has Joy Boy been influencing Luffy's fights? I don't know. I mean, Luffy couldn't have been the only host of the Hito Hito no Mi for the past 800 years, so has every other previous vessel failed? We're not sure, but all I'm saying is that it does play into some themes in the show, and it does open up an entirely new world of possibilities. Finally, let's talk about Luffy's expression. This was unlike any other transformation I've seen in anime, period. Even if we compare it to Luffy's other transformations like Gear 2nd, Gear 3rd, and Gear 4th. Luffy was always serious with those transformations. With this one, he just can't stop laughing. Even the way he names his form is whimsical and carefree. He's basically like, I guess I'll call this Gear 5th, why not? He's just having a good time. It's just pure bliss and euphoria. And what else is Luffy other than someone who just wants to have a good time, have the adventure of his life? Him laughing is also a bit meta because he's expressing his own reaction. He was a Zoan type all along, and here he was going on his entire life thinking he was a Paramecia. Oda saying Luffy wasn't a Zoan type before was also him just laughing at us. What's also important to note is that the chapter before this was maybe the first truly dramatic low point in the whole arc. All the main characters were fatigued or gone, and Kaido was still standing. The alliance is beginning to lose hope and the atmosphere is all serious. And then all of a sudden, this rubber boy just comes down, laughing hysterically, and brings everyone hope. It was character defining, it was obvious, but it was also subversive and unpredictable. Other character transformations like, again, Naruto are character defining, but not to this degree, I don't think. There was also nowhere near as much build-up. And another thing is that it was very predictable. Luffy's transformation literally transformed the entire series. We didn't expect Luffy to act like this when he got into his Gear 5th form. We didn't expect Luffy to look like this when he got into his Gear 5th form. I mean, just look at all the mock-up designs for Gear 5th compared to the official one. None of them even come close to matching the official one. It's distinctly unique and distinctly Luffy. Now, in my honest opinion, the only transformation that's even in the same league as Gear 5th is Adult Gon from Hunter x Hunter. Similar to Luffy, it actually had a lot of subtle build-up throughout the entire series and exemplified Gon's character in a highly substantive way. Gon has always had a tint of unhingedness to him. He's also been known to get massive power boosts when his emotions are high, and it's said throughout the show that when your emotions are high, your nen blooms. Gon's rock paper scissors technique is also thematically similar to this transformation. Gon is a risk taker. He's willing to do things with a high reward even if they'll potentially be life-threatening if they fail. This is adult Gon. Melioron also has a line where he says that Gon's potential is limitless. Gon just squandered all of that potential for temporary power. Gon has a hard time thinking too far in the future, so it makes sense. His infinite potential is also visualized with his hair. Not once do we see the end of his flowing hair, implying that if he endlessly trained, he would have fangs that would eventually reach the king. The Chimera Ant arc also had a subtle theme of everyone being a master at something. This is seen with Komugi and her Gungi game, so they intersect a lot. There's also the fact that as Gon became a monster, Meruem became a human, so they had mirrored developments. It was also really shocking that no one really expected Gon to look like this ever. I could honestly go on a lot longer, but I think I've gotten the point across. It's a great transformation, but I don't think it quite wraps up all of the themes of the show, at least to the same extent that Luffy's transformation does. And I mean, it makes sense, right? Because Gon isn't as much of a main character as Luffy is. I don't think that any specific transformation can really wrap up all of the themes of the show. The only thing that even comes close to that is Jing's final line. His final line of the 2011 anime, that is. Hunter x Hunter is a very go-with-the-flow, sort of stream of consciousness type of show with a lot of diverging themes. But for the Chimera Ant arc specifically, and for Gon's character arc, as a one-time, last resort type of ability, I think it works amazing. Another one people like to throw out is Goku going Super Saiyan for the first time. This is surely the most iconic transformation in anime, but I don't know if it's the best. We take it for granted now, but at the time people were reading the manga, the Super Saiyan design was probably a serious eye-catcher. Something that was powerful but also majestic. It had great build-up too, with Goku being an alien and Frieza being afraid of this majestic Super Saiyan. It was also thematically encompassing. Working hard and pushing past your limits is definitely one of the themes of Dragon Ball. But it's also friendship. So Goku training, coming out and not defeating Frieza, only to ultimately unlock Super Saiyan after Krillin dies, it was very powerful. Especially considering Krillin was his best friend for so long. It's a great transformation, I just think Luffy's is better. And look, I'm not going to analyze every single anime transformation, but those two are probably the best contenders for the best anime transformation in my opinion. Everything else just isn't as good. I will not elaborate beyond that. Go argue with a wall. Oda is the GOAT. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you all next time. Peace.